Manikanta, Ajay, Sai Teja. If you haven't done also, put a message that it is not completed. At least I know that you are responding. Manikanta completed. Okay, very good. Responses from Lavanya, Sai Teja, Ajay Kumar. Lavanya also finished it. Very good. Why you people are taking this much time? I am keep on calling several times for the same thing. Sai Teja, can you please respond? There is a small issue. Small. Okay. Ajay haven't completed it. Gunashekar haven't completed it. Okay. Gunashekar, can you please share your screen and show me like what you have done and what is not working? Gunashekar, can you please share your screen?
Sir, no, sir, I had not started.
Why?
Because afternoon onwards I went to institute. So,
That's okay. You do not get even 1 hour time also to do this exercise.
uh, I got, I will try.
See, you may have 100 reasons, right? But if you are willing to do it, you can get 1 hour so easily. Not able to do it is different thing. Not even attempting is not even a reason. Ajay Kumar, can you please share your screen? Ajay Kumar, please share your screen. Are you able to hear me, Ajay Kumar? If you are saying something, I am not hearing. You are on mute. Fine. Okay. Sai Teja is saying that there is small issue. Would you like to share your screen, Sai Teja?
Yes, sir.
Right. So what is working and what is not working? You can demonstrate.
Yes, sir. This is the output, sir. I received.
Oh, this is what you have done, is it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, super, super. Then what is the issue?
Sir, here Google search. I'm feeling lucky is there, sir. Side by
Ah,
side, it is not displaying, sir.
okay, okay, okay. You tried some CSS for that?
I tried my CSS, sir.
Okay, okay. Did you try span or div?
Sir,
Did you try span tags or div tags for these two buttons?
due, sir. For tax, we 1 second, sir. I am showing the code.
Okay.
This is
Right.
the code, sir. Again.
Right, right. So you have a div in which there is something called a header. In the header, you have an input button Google search, another input button, something like this, followed by what is the other one? Okay, that other button you have. Okay, okay,
These are my CSS.
okay, 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 okay. Right. We'll see these things.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Very good attempt.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir. Can I
Uh,
stop?
yeah, you can stop sharing.
Okay, sir.
Lavanya, can you please share your screen?
నీకు ఆ మాత్రం తెలియదు బ్రో.
You can mute Saitija.
Sir.
Right, I can see the screen, Lavanya. Akhil, I think you joined just now. Can you put a message in the chat window if you have finished the exercise or not?
Sir,
Akhil, yeah, go ahead, Lavanya. In the meantime, Akhil, I hope you are able to hear me. Yesterday, we have given an exercise on Google page, building the Google home page. Put a message if you have done it or not done.
sir, Hari helped me, sir. I didn't get the.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Uh, but uh, you are able to understand what Hari was explaining, or you just followed whatever he said?
I I understood, sir, what he done.
Okay. Okay. Show me the code. I think your machine is a little slow or something. It is still trying to come up.
Yeah,
In the
sir.
meantime, show me the code.
Completed, sir.
Okay. Okay. This looks really good. This looks really good. Show me the code now. Hari, it is the same output on your machine also. Is it exactly same thing?
Yeah, sir.
Okay. 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 Show me the code, Lavanya.
For banners, just sir.
Mm-hmm.
I imported all the components in this index.js file.
Mm-hmm.
Logo, search button, banner,
Mm-hmm.
and first I created logo JPG.
Okay.
Uh, then I imported this to app app.js. So
Okay. Okay. I understood.
later created the buttons.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Created
Okay.
such components. All
Okay. 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 Fine. Fine. No problem. You can unshare it.
okay, sir.
Good. Since for some of you it is for the first time that you are doing something related to UI, it is okay to, as that's why I'm giving them as like open exercises. It is okay for you to take help from Google or Stack Overflow or your teams or friends. But what is more important is like showing the commitment that you are putting effort to learn and practice. Right? That is the most important thing that any employer sees in any employee. No one in this world is an expert in any area, in all the areas. Everybody has to learn, whether you are putting effort to learn or you are just escaping. That's where the difference between the good employees and bad employees. I'm seeing that some people didn't even bother to join the class today after spending some time yesterday. And a couple of us are not able to attempt even. Other people, at least they attempted and they have done a very good job, in fact. And they have helped other people also. Right? Very good. You are appreciated, Hari, for helping Lavanya. And Lavanya is also appreciated for not feeling bad to take help from the other colleagues. That shows the team spirit. Very good. So let me do the, let us get into the new topics for the day. Just give me a second. Let me share my screen. Just before sharing the screen, let me see who are all there in the class now. Saiteja, Hari, Akhil, Lavanya, Manikanta, and Guneshekar. The other people haven't. Just give me a second. Let me give. What is it? Different windows getting opening. Just let me give a report to Mahesh saying like who has done it, who haven't done it. So that he is aware like how different people are uh, utilizing this opportunity. So Hari has done it. Sai Teja has done it. Manikantha has done it. And Lavanya has done it. Hari, 1, 2, 3, 4 people completed. 2 people didn't complete. The others are no idea. Sorry. I may be, I'm not feeling that well today. Yesterday itself, I had that feeling. Throat is not really good. So please pardon me. I may keep disturbing you in between. Right. So let me share the screen now. I think we are all set for the class for the day. Hari, is it visible? Okay. In that case, maybe you can start recording if it is not done already. Okay. So the idea is to look at developing stateless components and stateful components. In the stateless components, we'll be looking at how do we create the so-called functional components, how do we dealing with the properties, how do we build composite components. That is one part, the most easier one. Second is stateful components. There we need to deal with a bit about classes, defining and manipulating the state, understanding the component life cycle, and if possible, not if possible, we will be looking at hooks also. Most important thing is event handling. Okay, so what we are going to do today is the crux of this entire program. If we are good at what we do today, maybe the rest of the things you can learn on your own later, even if you do not attend tomorrow or if whatever happens tomorrow. And if we do not understand what we are going to do today, there is no point in working on ReactJS anything more. Whatever we are going to do today is the heart and soul of ReactJS. As mentioned yesterday, ReactJS is a JavaScript library for building the user interfaces as a collection of UI components. So today we are going to look at how do we build those components. Yesterday we started looking at building those components. Today we'll be formally doing it. Yesterday I just gave the basic demonstration. So for that, let me create a new project. As you know, the way to create a React project is simply npx creates hyphen react hyphen app and give a name. Let me take it as like stateless, just to give an idea. We are building a stateless component. What do we mean by stateful and what do we mean by stateless? A stateless component is something that is static, you can say. Like you cannot change the state of the given. Stateless doesn't mean that it do not have any state. You cannot change the state. There is no state machine. That is what actually it means. For instance, you are seeing a user interface on the screen currently, and just earlier there were only 6 folders. Now I have added a seventh folder, seventh folder, that is stateless. Means the user interface of this VS Code is changed its state. It changed its state. I am opening and closing or expanding or closing this particular folder. I am changing its state. So wherever you are changing state, it's a stateful component. Here it is a stateful component. It is opening and closing. It's a stateful component. There are some places, there are some components which you never change their state. Yesterday we were talking about Google page, right? Let me open, or you just see here itself. Right? Other than some styling, none of these things are changing their state. They just appear. Only some what do you call styling is there, becoming blue or green or whatever. But there is nothing much of an interactivity. It is just these are all just stateless components. This piece, like this logo and Firefox title, is also stateless. It is also a stateless component. If let's say this button is also a stateless component. You do not change their state once they appear on the screen. Stateful components are like these things. If I enter something, you can see things are changing, things are happening. There are few things that are happening. Even here also, as you have seen it already, right? By doing something, you are seeing a change in the state. User interfaces are always collection of both stateless as well as stateful components. Building stateless components is very easy. Building stateless components is actually really easy. Let me go to stateless folder that is just got created, and let me say npm start, so that let it start. While it is starting, let us look at let us do few things over here. Whatever things that are app.js, app, blah, blah, blah are there, let them be there or let them not be there. We don't care. That is not actually our application. Let us build our own application. Let us build our own components. Typically what we do is, observe carefully, we do not build the components just like this. If you build components like this under SRC, what happens is, for every component, you will be having some CSS, some JS, and some test case. That is 3 files for each of the component minimum. And if I am having 100 components, 300 files will be there in this one single folder, which is not a very, what do you call, a convenient way to handle such kind of a project. Instead, typically what we do is like, we'll create a folder. We may call it as like components. So SRC stands for source code, your actual code. So under SRC, you are going to have all your code. Some code belongs to components, some belongs to something else. We'll see tomorrow when we talk about Redux and other things. So under components, for each of the component, you will create a folder. For each of the component, you create a folder. Let us say I am going to create a component called logo. So under component, there is a folder called logo. Anything related to logo will create under this folder. So let me create logo.js. So that is going to be logo component. Similarly, under components, maybe I want to create other than logo, maybe I want to create something else, maybe toolbar, something like a toolbar. So let me create another folder. Why toolbar? Let me create, I want to create a calculator thing. So let me create a calculator component. So as you can observe now, the components is having two folders, calculator and logo. I'm having two components that way. Under logo, I'll have logo related code. Under calculator, I'll have calculator related code. The logo has, every component must have minimum a JS file. And what is that we'll be having? The JS file. We'll be writing, even though it is JS file, the code we write here is JSX. That is an interpolation of both HTML and JavaScript together. Let me show you how do we write code. All I need to do is like, for any time I say I'm going to create a component, what you need to do is like, you need to create either component as a class or as a function. When you create a component as a class, you call it as a class component. Very natural name. Similarly, when you create a component using a function, you call it as functional component. There are two ways to define actually. There are two ways to define components in React, either using classes or by using functions. If it is by using classes, you call them as class components. And if they are by using functions, they are functional components. Which one you prefer? It's nothing to do with preference, rather their power. Functional components are easy, simple. Okay, functional components are easier and simpler, whereas class components are little complicated. Why anyone wants to use the class components in such a case? Again, you will use functional components to build stateless components. Whereas in case of class components, they are essential when you are building stateful components. Okay, so functional components are useful for building the stateless components, whereas class components are useful for building the stateful components. Useful, I'm saying. I'm not saying that functional components are only meant for stateless or class components are only meant for stateful. I'm not saying that. But those are the best cases. So how do I create a function in JavaScript? Anything like this. Typically, whatever is the component name, that must be your function name. If it is functional component, that must be the function. And what this function must do, it must return the markup for the component. That markup must be at least one blocking element. What are the block elements? Elements that can contain other elements in HTML I'm talking about. Like div, span, table, these are all block elements we call. These elements contain other elements. Instead, if you are using elements like non-block inline elements we call. like the inputs and other things. These are all inline elements. They don't contain anything. That is not acceptable. You need to have at least a block element. So we need to return, right? We need to return at least a block element. So what is the block element we may return? Minimum. Typically we return this one. Right? Typically we return div. There is no reason for you to use any other element other than div for creating a block element. Refrain from using anything else. Just use div. Even though you can use div, span, blah, 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 but make it as a habit to return only just div. That is always good. Div is the most generic blocking element. This is the minimal thing. So you have created an element already. You have created a component already. Only thing you need to do is like you need to export this. Export default logo. This is how you create. This is a stateless because there is nothing actually in this. There is no state. There is no event handling, nothing actually. But it is a component because it is returning a blocking element. Not blocking, sorry, block element. But I suggested not to use traditional functions, rather use arrow functions. So if I convert this into arrow function, then what will it happen? It becomes constant logo equal to and arrow. Stick to this model. Stick to this approach. Yesterday I had asked a question, should it be constant or should it be let? Some people answered it as like it should be let. That's bad. Functions are not going to change. Right? If I have created logo as a function, the body will not change during the runtime of the application. So they are supposed to be constants. This is actually a constant. If it is a variable x may get different values at different time. Function will be always only. Okay. So make a constant function like this. Good. But since it is a very simpler thing, one-liner, then what I can do, as I mentioned earlier, I can remove the braces, I can remove the return statement, I can even remove the parentheses also because there is no return anyway. Right? This is a stateless component. You may wonder, like, is it really a component? Of course, yes, but useless component. Let's say I want to build Glarimy homepage, for which I am having Glarimy as the logo. I'm using a text only, not an image or something. So this is Glarimy logo. If I put this logo in the index, what do you call, where is it? Index.js. Which element I'm trying to keep here? App. Instead of that, let me get logo. Import logo from where? Where it is now? It is under components, under logo, under which you have logo. So this is my component which I am planning to use here. So if I see, you can see that Glarimy is appearing. It's a component. It's a very maybe simplest possible component, but it is still a valid stateless component. Nothing will happen. Nothing will change here. That's why it is a stateless component. Now, let me make this component. As I mentioned, components are reusable. So tomorrow, if you want to create trio component, will you be again writing this entire code, whether it is 1 line or 100 lines or 1000 lines, doesn't matter. But will you be writing this code once again fully? And only change would be like instead of Glarimy, you will write trio. That is not a good idea. That's not a good idea. Rather, how about getting this value? Sorry. Today you will be hearing this irritation many times. I'm sorry for that. So instead of having Glarimy as a hard-coded value, how about passing the value so that when somebody is going to use the logo, they will tell what is the caption must be used or what is the title must be used. So let's say I'm saying I'll be passing title as a parameter, and instead of using Glarimy directly, I'll be using title over here. Then what happened? Nothing is appearing because the Glarimy is not there anyway, and title is also not there. Nobody passed the title. So how do I pass the title? When I'm using this logo as a component, because logo is expecting a property called title, I'll have to pass it when I'm going to use it, for instance, here. So it is looking for a property called title. So let me give the title over here by specifying Glarimy as the value. Is it appearing? Still not. Why it is not appearing? There might be some syntactical error. What is it? 1 second. Is it dollar? Not dollar. There is one way to handle it. Just 1 second. Give me a second. Forgot the syntax. All right. It should be props title. I'll tell you what is this props thing, from where it is coming. Props is not defined, so this must be the props one. Props title. Let me see if it is appearing. Okay. Now, so if we want to pass a property like title to a component called logo, we need to first specify a parameter. It need not be props only. It can be anything. It can be XYZ also. All the properties that you are passing will be passed over here. And you'll be able to access them by using this context. It is going to be a JSON essentially. It is going to be just a JSON. And you know, this is a single parameter. So I need not to give even the parenthesis also. That's what it was actually, what do you call, warning earlier. So logo is accepting props, which is a shorthand for properties. Let's not use anything else, any other name. Rather, I'll be using only the word props. Most of the places you see that word only. And what are those props? Whatever you pass over here. One property is title. Title is one property. You may give another property. Let's say another property, what I'm going to give here is address or email. Another property is email. Contact us at glarimy.com. Contact us at glarimy.com is another property. Let me say, instead of this guy is having just only title, let me make some useful thing. H1, maybe a header tag, like yesterday what we have done. So I have header tag closing, then I have HR aligner, and then I want to give that email ID. Want to give that email ID. How do we give the email IDs and such kind of stuff? You will be using the href kind of link tags, right? Or maybe just write whatever in general. So I'll be saying whatever you write within these curly braces will be resolved. They are not going to be printed as they are. Whatever you write within these curly braces, it will be resolved. So title under properties, whatever is that value, that will be printed here. Similarly, props is having another field called email. You see, email is another property I'm passing, which I want to print here after that HR tag. See, all right? So you have Glarimy followed by contact us at glarimy.com. Sometimes this may become too huge. In such a case, what you do, you make these things. These are one single, even though you may write them in multiple lines, but still this entire thing is going to be used as just one statement, or maybe like this, right? So you may write like this is the better format. This is not automatic format. we have to write it like this. So this div is the actual block element. Whatever you write here before, within this, they may be either normal elements or some other components or resolvable properties like this. Resolvable properties like this. Okay, so that's the outcome. This is a stateless component and also configurable component because you are able to pass properties. Earlier we were not having, now we are having properties. Some of the some FAQ here, FAQ. Listen carefully. If someone asks me, Krishna, all stateless components must be functional components, the answer is no. They can be class components also. Then why I'm using stateless, the functional components? Because it is easy. It is functional, it is easy, it looks simpler. Does stateless components always must receive properties? No. If you want to pass any properties, or you are designing the component, right? If you want to receive properties, put props. You don't want to receive any properties, you can leave it as empty parentheses also. What is good practice? Always declare props being received. Whether you use them or not is a different thing. It is always a good idea. Should a functional component use arrow functions only? There is nothing like that. You may or may not use arrow functions. Suggested to use arrow functions again because they look simpler. Should the arrow functions must always be declared as constant? It is not a must, but it is always a good practice. It's always a good practice. Should the properties be always named as props? Need not. It can be XYZ also. Then in all places it should be XYZ. XYZ title, XYZ email. But you lose the code reusability. Sorry, not reusability, readability. Every time you need to understand what this XYZ mean. Rather, if all of us just as a practice convention, if we just call props as props, then it is easy to read the code. It is easy to read the code. So how do we access the props? In the context of props dot whatever is the property, but they must be enclosed within curly braces. If it is not with curly brace, if it is just only, if you write only like this, it becomes a normal text. See here, props dot email. It becomes a normal text. To get them resolved, we need to do like this. Right? So I have logo.js, which is having all the the component related markup, which has its own, right, which has its own folder under components. So it is always easy to organize a larger application into smaller units and access them like here. But I didn't like this logo/logo. Logo/logo doesn't look nice. It looks, why I'm saying logo/logo again? Why not it is just simply component/logo? If it is component/logo, then logo must be named as logo.js. That also we don't like because logo.js, logo CSS, and calculator.js, calculator CSS, and there are several things like this. It doesn't make sense. So how we can solve this problem with a little more elegance? There is another way to do it. Under your logo, other than logo.js, you create another file. Under logo, you create another file and name it as index.js. Index.js. In the index.js, import logo.js. All right, from the index.js, you just import this logo.js. After importing, export it. You may laugh at it like what we are doing, but this helps you a lot. So export default logo. So if somebody trying to import or include this index.js, it is going to give you Logo only, nothing else. Whatever it gets from logo.js, it gives you that logo. Now, how it is a beautiful thing is, now come to index.js, and now you just say logo. When you say components, it goes to components folder. Next, when you say logo, it comes to logo folder. If it is a folder, it looks for index.js. If it is not a folder, it must be named as logo.js. This is nothing to do with ReactJS. That is the way modules work. ES6 modules work. So if I am saying component slash logo, by looking at this code, it may be logo.js or logo slash index. See, automatically it is seeing that index. This looks a little more elegant. It's not like logo slash blah, blah, blah. Instead, just logo. So if logo is a folder, you must have an index.js file in that, and index.js file must return whatever it is. In this case, it is logo. Is it still working? As you can see, it is still working. I hope you understood my point, right? So whenever you are creating a new component, create a folder, create index.js, and then your actual JS. In the actual JS, you write your component, whether it is stateful or stateless is your choice. In the index.js, import and immediately export. You may do few other things. Later we do such things, but for now, import and export immediately. And that's it. In the wherever you are actually accessing, you just access through the folder enough, because it is having an index.js that takes care of the rest of the work. The similar manner, in the similar manner, I'll be just one second. Where is it? Okay, here. Yeah, Hari, you have a question. Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 For instance, this logo SVG, is it being used anywhere? Here? Right. See, uh, in the app.js, because it is in the parallel folder, it is saying dot slash logo SVG. In the similar manner, in this case, if I move this SVG, or let me copy and paste it here, right? Then also you can just simply say import dot slash logo SVG. Um, that's what I'm saying. You can still work it out. I'm not saying it is not possible, but the best practice is like to have everything related to that component in one single place, so that it becomes a lot easier for you. Like just like how you are saying dot slash logo, you say dot slash SVG also, wherever you want. If it is in a different folder, we need to give a relative class path. So we need to see where is that class and where is that element, and we need to give a relative class path. Maybe we'll see it offline on your code, like what you tried earlier. Okay, right. So we have logo.js, logo SVG. Anyway, I'm not using this one. Let me not corrupt this. Okay, so so our logo is a very simpler one. So now what I do is like maybe we'll try to give some kind of styling as well. So let me copy paste the CSS into this one. Again, whether you give logo.css or index.css is your choice, or it is always better to give it as index logo.css, logo.css, so that you, even if you see it in a different place, you still see it as a style sheet for the logo, style sheet for the logo. Just like see here app.js and app.css. Let me paste that one rather than the body thing. Let me paste this. So this fellow is having a lot of right. What do you call style sheet? A lot of styles. We don't do it. We'll be having very minimal. But how do you get hold of this CSS into this JS file? How are they doing? Just like this. So here also we will be importing that way. So let us import the CSS styles. Import from where? Import here only. What is it? Logo.css. CSS is not what do we call a standard thing in JSX. That's why it is not automatically giving a suggestion. So we got logo CSS. What is there in logo CSS? We will be writing several things. Let's say I'll be giving a class name called center, and let us leave it. Let's leave everything else. I'm giving a class called center, and a text align is center. If I apply this class to anything, the text under which under that will be arranged in a centrally aligned fashion. That's what it means. So how do I what do you call access, right? How do I access this style sheet? How do I access this style sheet? Let's say only H1 should be in a different should be centrally aligned. What I do, for instance, you see here, if I want to apply any class of CSS, I should say class name and tell what is the name of the class. Class name is important. N is in uppercase. I should not say just class, because the word class has a different meaning in JSX classes. So they have used this word called class name. In normal HTML, it is going to be just class, whereas here it is class name. So here, let me say class name is, we have given center as the name, right? So let me make it center. Let me make it center. And let's see whether it is taking effect, right? It's coming in center. You may, in the now from here onwards, it's your choice, what and all you want to play around with. Let's say for the central one, you want to give some text color also, red. Okay, you got it into a red color. If you want to give a font size, let's say 2em, then it becomes little more. You can give maybe in pixels also, you may give 32 pixels, all right, or 64 pixels. Let me stop here. If you are good at CSS, you know what to write over here. How about giving this center for the entire thing? You can, if you say like, no, not only the header, but also the entire thing must be following this style. You may do like this. Then it looks very awkward, but you know it still works. What is important is it works. Okay. So now I have only one component called logo. This app and other things, I am not using them. So let me remove them. They are there just as a bootstrap things. Otherwise, I don't require them. What is required is index.js, the basic index.js, and because maybe index.css also to some extent. Other than that, everything else, Web Vitals is only meant for development purpose. Let them be there, and setup tests, let them be there. They don't intervene anywhere. Index.js is handling something called app fault thing. Let's see. So no warnings, no errors, and we have got the results. Right? This is how you create a stateless component. Let me create one more component just for you, just for me to showcase things. So I want to build a stateless component called calculator. What are the things I do? Create 3 files. One, what is its name? Index.js. Another file, calculator.js, another file calculator.css. Right? It's like a ritual. Ritual means you need not think 100 different ways. It is always this is what you do. What is that you write? What is that you write in the calculator.js? What is minimal thing? One is like import the what do you call calculator.css. You'll always do this, and you will create a constant function. In the name is going to be the same thing. You accept props, and what is that you return? A div. This is where you start the work. This is where you start the work. Maybe here you say calculator so that you know that this is a placeholder. What is that you write in the index.js? You import calculator from where? From calculator, and immediately what else you do? You export this. Export default calculator. I'm sorry, I forgot exporting from here also. After creating the function, you need to do the same thing here as well. Export default calculator. So index.js is ready, this one is ready. CSS, whether you have something or not, it's up to you. Even if it is an empty file, this is still fine. And to try this out in the index.js, maybe instead of logo, this time let me use calculator. It is not receiving any properties. I am not passing any properties as well. Calculator JS. Constant calculator. Sorry. Right, so it is appearing, calculator is appearing, means my component is working. That's all I will be proving here. Then we need to write the actual code. So let me come to this place and start writing something. Instead of just saying calculator, let me put a calculator. So calculator is a form, right? Calculator is going to be a form. So let me create, let's say, a form. In the form, let me create a table. In the table, let me create two columns. First column is data column, and the other one row column, right? And let me create the first row and second row and third row. In the first row, let me have a data column. This is going to be, let's say, first number. That's all I'm saying. In the second data in the first row only, the second data column will be having an input. So here also I'll be having second number and an input. The third one I'll be having maybe two different or maybe one column only, different buttons. Button, add, and button multiply, let's say. After the table and the form, I'll be giving the result here. Or I may simply say, yeah, and I may simply say result also. Or let me give a HR and result. So this is where the result is going to be shown. So this is just a markup. It's a just a markup. Let me see how it appears on the screen. You see, this is how it is appearing. First number, last number, add or multiply, result. If I give first number as 23, last number is 34, and click add, it is supposed to give me, the sum over here. Currently it is not giving. Currently it is not doing it. Right? And this is occupying the entire space. I may give different colors and blah blah blah. So let's say in the CSS file, where is that CSS? All right. So here I may say calci. Let me give some background color as gray. Is it okay? I'm not applying this class yet, right? So let me apply the class. Class name is calci, right? It is appearing in gray. If you want to give some kind of padding or something like that, you may give padding also. And let's say padding is 16 pixels. All right, you got some padding. If you want to give margin also, you may give margin of, let's say, 8 pixels. So you got some margin outside of this. It is going to occupy the entire space until the user of this calculator will have to decide where it should appear. For now, this is just fine. This is just okay for me. If you feel like gray is too much of gray, okay, so you may give some other color, let's say yellow. Yeah, this is also fine. This looks much readable, at least for me. When the color is little glazing, this is fine. Okay. This is currently a stateless component, even though it is supposed to be a stateful thing. I enter something and click something. I need to get some result. It is supposed to be a stateful, but currently I made it as just a stateless component, just to give the look and feel. So this is another way to look at it. Anytime you build a component, you will always be having the look and feel part of it. You will always be having some look and feel part of it, like how it appears. We call it as presentation. So these kind of stateless components, whatever you're seeing, this stateless component is typically used to build such kind of presentational components. See, several words I'm using, right? Somebody show you this and say, ask you like, Krishna, what is this kind of component? 3 answers I can give. Number 1, this is a functional component because the component is created as a function. That is one answer, right? This is a stateless component because there is no state manipulation. There is no definition of state at all anywhere. That is also right answer. This is a presentational component because it is presenting the component, its user interface. That is what the job of this component. Perfect. It is presentational, stateless, and functional. All are right answers. It doesn't mean that every presentational component must be a functional component or every stateless component must be a functional component. No. A cow is an animal, but doesn't mean that every animal is a cow, right? So if I show you a cow, what is it? I can say it is cow, or I can say it is mammal, or I can say it is an animal. All are right answers only. Same thing here also. All right. Any questions, please? Okay, so I take it as if like we do not have any questions now. So my part is completed, right? Now I want you to rebuild the same thing. I want you to create the similar calculator, same thing. I'll not share the code. You need to write everything on your own. I'm giving you 45 minutes of time. In the next 45 minutes, what is that you will be doing? You'll be creating a folder called components under your SRC folder, and you create a calculator folder in which you'll have calculator CSS, calculator JS, and index.js. And this is going to be index.js. This is going to be your calculator. This is going to be your CSS. And in the main JS file, you'll be importing it and using it. You'll be importing and using it. Whether you will be able to successfully finish this or not is not the main idea. I want you to try it out. And randomly I'll be asking different people to showcase like what they have tried. And I'll be asking a lot of questions. If they're in wrong direction, I'll be asking why you have done it. You need to explain what was your thought process. If need to be corrected, I'll be correcting it. Okay. Is everything good? Can we can we take the exercise now? Any questions from anyone, please? Perfect. The silence, I take it as if like we are good with this. start doing the exercise. Hari, you can stop recording, sir.